Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Katie Ramsay. She played lacrosse at the University of Southern California. She now works with the head of consumer investments at Creative Arts Agency. It's one of the world's largest talent and sports agencies. So, hi, Katie.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on here today. So, I just wanted to start off by asking you a little bit about, your college athletic experience and how that sort of influenced your career path.
Yeah, first things first, came out to LA. Back in my day when I was recruited, there was no recruiting rules around how early you could get recruited. So I always thank my lucky stars that I chose the University of Southern California at such a young age, because I really think that has shaped me into the person I am today, the people I surround myself with, and of course, that career path that I'm on. Being in LA, surrounded by so many creative people, so many talented, creatives, athletes, just people in general, has really led me to love being a part of this space that is CAA, Creative Artists Agency. So that's kind of how I got to LA. My entire internship and career path has been in the sports industry, kind of echoing all the passion that I have for playing lacrosse and playing sports. That's really been replicated in all of my internship experience and now what I do today, and what I continue hoping to do in the future.
I know you're still involved in sports in like any way you can be. And I think, are you still playing for Athletes Unlimited? Or do you play
So
last summer?
yeah, so I did 4 years of undergrad at SC, and then I also took my fifth year, which was awesome because I got to play with my younger sister when I was a fifth year. She was a freshman, so that was a super cool experience. And then headed into the summer, I played professionally with Athletes Unlimited, and now I'm just kind of working my full-time job. But
Okay.
I coach on the side. I coach for the Mad Dog West Elite program. And I spend a lot of my weekends, actually, right now, they're in peak recruiting season. I coach girls going into their junior year of high school, which is now like the period that they can get recruited in. So I'm on red eyes every weekend to go coach these girls. But it's really cool and it's awesome to feel like I'm a part of, helping them get into college and, what that leads for their future because I know how much my lacrosse career has impacted where I landed today. So it's kind of cool to be a part of that little sliver of their life.
Yeah. Like how has I know lacrosse is still a big part of your life, but how have you sort of been able to find your identity outside of like playing lacrosse since, your career
Yeah.
ended?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that is a work in progress every day, and I'll have to keep figuring that out every day. Definitely being involved with coaching. I love to like hop in and play with the girls, and that just like keeps me motivated. It's also how do you stay active? What kind of workouts are you doing? Because I'm not doing the same like intense regimented training that I'm doing anymore. How do you find self-worth? In something that, you've put all your self-worth into this sport and, the accolades and the achievements that you get through doing the sport. So how can you do that in other ways? And I've really pushed myself to find those achievements and those ways of performing within my job. And so I think every day, just pushing to be the best person I can at my job, has been really fulfilling and really important.
Yeah, I think like I'm in a unique situation where I sort of have this year to find a little more balance in my life.
Yeah.
Playing Division 1, you don't really get the opportunity to do that. I think my last couple years at school, I was able to do a little bit more in getting involved in some organizations, mostly within the athletic community, like within SAC and stuff like that, which I feel like helped. But I feel like this summer and being able to, have an internship and be able to do things outside of being on my campus and training all day, I feel like this has been
Yeah,
able to help me a little bit in preparation for where I'll be next
definitely.
year. But
Definitely. I think lacrosse is a super unique timed sport because I did have access to my summer a little bit more, though I was still training the entire summer, getting up early or staying up late. I did have an internship every single year of college. After my freshman year, I worked at Outside TV, which is an adventure sports content network. So there I did digital marketing and kind of got a taste of like what it's like to, be in an office and work with a team, and got a taste of digital marketing, which I was super interested in. After my sophomore year, which was COVID, I had an internship with Fox Sports. It got moved virtually, but I was still super lucky to have that internship because I know a lot of people had theirs canceled. With Fox, I was on their integrated sales team, which is like sales and marketing. We did a lot of cool stuff, got to work with a lot of people over Zoom. I think it actually was beneficial for me for it to be over Zoom because I was able to connect with people not just on my immediate team, but got to pick people's brains. Hey, can I hop on a call with you? Can I ask you about this? And really got a wide breadth of what the industry and what the company does. After my junior and after my senior year, I worked at Legends, which is like a sports apparel company, athleisure, but it's really mixed in with culture and influencers and hype, and bringing social media into like a clothing brand. And I loved working with them, which is like really inspired my love for like working with talent, which I do now. And it was a startup, and so that's kind of what got me interested in entrepreneurship. And I got my master's in my 5th year in entrepreneurship and innovation, and that's kind of aligned with what I do now at CAA. I work specifically in our venture capital department, so we invest in early stage startups, and then kind of leverage the talent we have and the resources that we have across the agency to boost those investments, which is really, really cool. So all of it definitely ties together. And I'm super appreciative that I've been able to have those summers to have those experiences.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, most of the people that are in my network are former basketball players. So I feel like that is a pretty unique situation where you don't typically have your summers. But, I feel like that people tend to use that as an excuse to not be prepared for when they graduate. Like, oh, I
Mhm.
played Division 1 basketball. I didn't have time to have any experience. But I think it is
Yeah.
important to even leverage like what you have on campus. Like there are a ton of internships within, like schools, athletic departments, or anything that you can do to
Yeah.
sort of get hands-on experience while you're at school, I think is super beneficial because I know a lot of people don't take advantage of that and then they feel sort of lost
Yeah,
or
for sure.
behind when they graduate.
Yeah, I also think that even if you're super swamped with all your schoolwork and your sports, I really made an effort to set up calls, like networking calls with people at least twice a week. Like I was probably on calls every single day. I would, come right out of practice. I'd be in my practice clothes, sweating still, but like taking these calls on the go, picking people's brains about industry so I knew what I liked and what I didn't like. I got people's advice on like how to enter certain spaces, and I really think that helped me when I eventually did start applying to jobs. I had people that I could reach out to. I had insights on all these different industries and companies. So even if you can't do an internship, definitely taking those calls and putting in the work to figure out what you want is super important on the front end.
Yeah. And I think like it's super cool that what you do now is like sort of a combination of a lot of the internships that you've had. And I'm sure that experience and like the people that you've spoken to have helped you sort of find that career path and like what you truly enjoy doing.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool to look at it, 2020, hindsight's 2020. It's cool to look at it in reverse and see how everything's kind of led to where I am now.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, I know like you've taken a lot of like networking calls throughout your college career, but
Yeah.
have you had any mentors throughout your career or post grad that have, sort of impacted your career path?
Yeah, I've had a couple really great mentors or people that I can kind of go to and ask questions. I have a close friend that, again, a friend of a friend, and she works at Tiffany's in their sports partnerships department, or I'm not sure the exact title, but she's been really great because she has such great oversight of the industry that I'm looking into, and she's been able to connect me with people, answer questions that I have that I don't necessarily like want to go to someone else with. She's someone that now I just consider a friend. We go to networking events together. She's brought me into this really fun group of women that she gets together with on a monthly basis. And also we just, grab dinner and stuff like that. So it's the people that you can really form these personal relationships with. And it's not just looking for a job. It's more than that. I've definitely found other people at Legends. That whole team has really supported me in my journey, and are looking out for me every step of the way. And then within CAA, various people on our team definitely look out for me, and I think that goes back to connecting on like personal interests and other items outside of work. Like I'm really connected with one member of our team who loves lacrosse, and so we're kind of able to banter and get coffee, talk about lacrosse, talk about sports, that kind of thing. So definitely finding people that are willing to help you in your career process and be a mentor, but there has to be that like base level of personal connection, I would say.
Yeah, I feel like it is kind of difficult if you don't, like you said, begin networking when you're in college. Because when you're an athlete, you have so many people that are like, especially at like the high level that you were playing at, that are always looking out for you, that are always, making sure you're going to class, make your schedule for you, do everything like that. So it is really important to find like, and also your teammates, you have like that support system. So, it is really important in the post grad world when you're in the workforce to find like that supportive community around you and people that want to build you up and help you, because it's like, you experience like such a high level of that. It's probably so different in college athletics that like, I mean, I know that's something that I feel like is really important to me once
Definitely.
I finish playing. So I feel like
Definitely.
that's a really important thing to.
Yeah. And I try to, network in the randomest of situations. Like you shouldn't just be networking to find a job. And like right now, I'm not looking for a job, but I network constantly because honestly, the best connections happen when you're not asking for something, when you're not asking for a job, or an internship or some sort of favor. And so it's like, how can you be, you know, this person who just exudes confidence, warmth, kindness that people kind of gravitate towards. And those create the most natural connections that are down the line going to help you out. Maybe you don't need something now. Maybe you're helping them out right now. And down the line, everything kind of comes back around.
I think like something that's really difficult, especially like with my friends that I've spoken to, is like you go from being like either a leader on your team, being the best at your team, always like knowing what your next step is. And then whatever your first job is, it's like you're a freshman, you're a rookie. Like it's kind of the first time that you don't really know like what you're doing. So I feel like that is a huge like shock and a huge thing that like people have to, get used to when you first start working.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Knowing that like you can ask for help and that people are willing to help you learn and grow. I feel like it's really difficult to, I mean, I just started my internship this summer a couple weeks ago, and it's really difficult to, sit there and just act like you know what you're doing, because everyone around you wants you to be helpful to them as well. Like they don't want anyone just sitting in the office doing nothing. So I feel like that
Yeah.
is definitely a huge adjustment as well.
Yeah, I would say wherever you land, like looking for teammates in that space. Like athletes at their core are used to having this team behind them, used to teamwork, and kind of having those personal connections. So, who within your department, within your company, can you kind of form that teammate like bond with? I've really found teammates in the people that I work with on my team, and it makes asking questions a lot easier. It makes providing suggestions, opening your mouth and having a voice, because that's what's kind of going to take you to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. How did you, I know you talked about how when you were in college, you did a ton of networking calls. Like how did you go about starting to do those calls? Because I know that can be something that's really intimidating for a lot of people at first.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely just started out on LinkedIn, reaching out to USC alumni. They really mean it when they say the Trojan family. Like anyone I reached out to, and I just had a little fight on at the end, people were happy to take my calls. One piece of advice I give people is like once you have a call with someone, say, "Hey, after this talk, um, and getting to know me a little bit, was there one or two people you think that would be good for me to talk to?" And then they'll connect you with someone, and it kind of builds this web of connections, where every call you take, you're getting 2 or 3 more people to talk to and making sure that you're prioritizing those calls, those connections, and really, putting time into the networking effort. I would say also keeping track of everything. I had a little Excel sheet, Google Doc that was tracking people I was talking to, things about that person that maybe you can mention in the call, conversations you had previously had that are good to note or tap into when maybe you see something pop up on social media. Hey, I thought of you when I saw this like super cool event. Definitely check this out. Like just really leaning into those personal connections, asking to be connected further to other people, leaning in, and don't be afraid to cold call on LinkedIn.
Um, were there any specific things that you learned that not a lot of people might think of off the top of their head from college athletics that you think have helped you in the workforce and that have like translated? I know like everyone says like teamwork and
Yeah,
communication.
I'm trying to think. So I was a two-time captain at USC, and a lot of that was dealing with like the administrative stuff behind the scenes, organizing who needs to take a bag on the trips, organize, and like also dealing with internal conflict within the team, managing relationships between the team and the coaches. So I think that's really helped me be where I am today in terms of, like you said, teammates, but kind of like team management and like conflict management as well as organization. Right now, I'm an assistant within my group, and so organization is just like the most important thing. And I think being a student athlete, that just like really shines in my position.
Yeah, and I think like aside from just like the communication piece and like organization and stuff like that, I think just knowing like how to communicate with different types of people and also like in the workplace, I feel like that helps me like knowing how different people want different things handed to them and presented, like the way that
Yeah.
you should format things for different people. I feel like that is a skill that like not everyone has, but I feel like for
Yeah.
athletes that usually comes second nature, which I feel like has been super
Yeah.
helpful.
I think also dealing with confrontation, and not in like a bad way, but every season you have mid-year and end of the year check-ins with your coach in a similar way that you would have with your boss. And I think a lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of other people on my level have never had these types of conversations before, and they go into these meetings like really nervous, but I've been having conversations with my coaches on a weekly basis for
Yeah.
years. It's like I
I
go
feel like
into
that's
these
something
meetings.
really crazy that like
Yeah.
not everyone experiences that, but like
Yeah,
that
and
is really crazy that we've
it's
had to
dealing
do
with
that.
like those authority figures above you, no matter if you're tight or friends or whatever, that's always going to be a nerve-wracking situation to walk into. And I feel like I've had a ton of practice with that. And so I'm
Yeah.
able to kind of like navigate those conversations better and make sure I can communicate what I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah. No, it is crazy. Like, because we've been having those types of conversations since we were like 17.
Yeah,
And obviously at that age, that is super nerve-wracking, but you learn obviously throughout your career to like make sure you get the points that you want to say across and like
exactly.
how to speak in those sort of meetings. So that
Exactly.
is definitely something that like
Yeah.
I said, like you don't think of off the top of your head, but you have that skill.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like when I was younger having to like write down on my phone what I wanted to say so I wouldn't forget anything.
Yeah.
And I recently had a meeting with my boss, and it was just like I was able to go in there and I knew what I wanted to say, and I didn't have to like be very nervous about it. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something I've seen translate over to my career.
My final question for you is just any last pieces of advice that you might have for athletes either entering their last year of their sport or have just finished and are sort of entering their career search right now and are in this sort of transition period.
Yeah, I would say definitely if you're still an athlete, like start the networking process now. Again, like I was saying earlier, like when you don't have something to ask for, that's the most important time to be networking, and forming those connections. Um, I think people also note like when I'm taking these calls after practice and I'm sweating and whatever, like people see the hard work that you're putting in if you're doing these calls like in the midst of everything you have going on. And so it's really important to start that early. People that have graduated, I kind of ran into that when because I had graduated, didn't have my job yet, but I was still playing professionally, and I was interviewing for jobs the entire time that I was playing professionally. People were like, "Are you nervous? Like, you're not gonna have a job, blah blah blah." And I would say I always live by like everything happens for a reason, and everything works out the way it's supposed to. Um, every athlete has something super, and every person has something super unique to offer. Um, and eventually, no matter, I mean, I applied to my current job like a bajillion times and got rejected a bajillion times. But like, if you keep pushing and keep at it, which is what we do as athletes on a daily basis, then everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And the job market is tough. Like, you will get denied from a million places. But putting out those feelers, making sure that you're connecting with people on a daily basis so that when that opportunity does come, you're front of mind for those people.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much again for coming on here. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Of course. It was so nice meeting you.
Yes, nice to meet you too.